So if you're wondering, hey Saran, I have tons of money for a pointless purchase, are there any new iPads coming out with overkill performance that iPadOS can't utilize? Well yes, actually there is, because the iPad Air 6 is in development, and this will be yet another pointless spec upgrade for the iPad range, so let's delve into it. Mark Gurman, the ever-credible Apple leaker, recently said in his newsletter that he does not expect any changes to the iPad range till the M3 iPad Pros with OLED, though we have a new iPad Air in development that should be a spec upgrade, because clearly the M1 wasn't already fast enough for this iPad. And by the way, would like to remind you guys, like this video and subscribe for more content like this, it would be appreciated. Now, in usual Gurman fashion, he does not tell us when exactly it's going to release because, hey, that's too precise. Being a leaker is all about giving us vague information that increases their chances of being right. And so yes, we're left to guess about when it could release. In fact, all he's telling us basically is that Apple's developing a new version of an existing product. Wow, who knew companies did that? Anyways, if I were to get my thinking hat on and predict a release timeframe for this, personally I could see a late 2023 release, because this is a very simple refresh for Apple to release. All they need to do is chuck the M2 motherboards from the iPad Pro into the Air's chassis, have a new special color that of course is gonna get all the Apple sheep excited, including me by the way, and boom, you have your iPad refresh. It's that simple. And so why would Apple wait till 2024 to do something as simple as that? Especially considering we've heard a lot about Apple having a surplus of M2 chips. I'm sure they want to chuck M2 into everything and shift all these chips. And so logistically speaking, I can see why Apple's doing this. But please, I beg you, do not buy this iPad. I know there's going to be people in the comments saying, hey, I just want the extra support the M2 has. But let's be honest, M1's not going to lose support anytime soon. I mean, Apple's still supporting A10 iPads, chips that came out in 2016, so yes, I would 100% advise everyone to literally just get the M1 iPad FLS. No one, and I mean no one, is going to benefit from having M2 in this, unless you're a nerd who wants to flex those higher Geekbench scores, but really, why would you do that? So yeah, realistically guys, M1 is going to be more than fine for iPadOS for the foreseeable future. Now you may be wondering, hey, what if Apple gives us special features that entices us to upgrade instead? And honestly, I doubt it. Like, we could see Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3, which I guess is cool, but let's be honest guys, who actually cares about that? And I know as soon as I say that, there's going to be one guy racing in the comments saying, hey, I actually care about this, I want Wi-Fi 6E, I want Bluetooth 5.3, okay? Fine, you can have all those specs, but let's be honest, most consumers don't care about this, and it's not a must-have upgrade people are going to throw money at Apple to get. And genuinely, that's about it for the possible upgrades. We could see the hover feature M2 iPad Pro has, but considering the Air and the Pro are already very similar products, I would not be surprised if that remained as a Pro exclusive. And so yes guys, the M2 iPad Air really is going to be a spec upgrade, and that's about it. Literally, the only good thing about this is that it should bring down the price of the M1 end. So if I catch any of you guys buying the M2 iPads, I'm going to come to your house and return it for you, because I don't want you guys wasting your cash. This is a pointless upgrade. The only way Apple could save this upgrade is if they do one thing, and this would be a total game changer if they do this, and that's give this a flash, because it still triggers me. The iPad mini has a flash, and the more expensive iPad Air does not. So please Apple, fix this, and then I'll give you so much cash. This will be a radical upgrade that changes many lives, because clearly everyone needs a flash on their iPads. Okay, jokes aside, an actual camera change I would appreciate is a landscape camera, because the base iPad has this, and yes, I know the reason other iPads don't have this is because the Apple Pencil 2 charging strip is right in the same spot as the base iPad's landscape camera that of course has Apple Pencil 1 support. But still, it's a little weird guys, the cheapest iPad's technically superior to the more expensive iPads, and so Apple, here's a big brain idea from a guy who sits in a room and just talks about Apple non-stop to a camera. Why don't you shift that strip to the side a little, because I feel like that could not only give the space for the landscape camera, but could also fix the bending issues the iPads have had for a while, because remember, the strip right in the middle creates a weak point, and so every year Mr. Jerry-Rig Everything absolutely obliterates every iPad in half in his bend test, and so maybe moving the strip slightly to the left or right could fix that. Now, of course, if I could think of that, then I'm sure someone who works at Apple and was cherry-picked by the great Tim Cook has also thought of this, and so hopefully Apple does implement this pretty soon. I do have a feeling the iPad Pro is going to be the first one to get this though, because this will easily upsell consumers to those very, very, very expensive iPads, because people love landscape cameras, and so once again, I am very sure the next iPad Air is going to be a stale upgrade that you should avoid. I thought I'd also mention some things I would love to see, but I'm very sure we're never getting, just to get the point across that this is going to be a pointless refresh. The first thing is 128 gigs of base storage. It's actually pretty stupid. You have M1 in the iPad Air that of course can run software like Final Cut, and yet you're stuck with 64 gigs of storage, which is clearly not enough for transferring any sort of 4K footage. Even 128 gigs would not be ideal, to be frank, but at least you can make that work. And so that would be a nice Goldilocks option in the range. But that's actually where the issue lies, because we know Tim is the master of upselling his consumers. He will get you to buy an iPhone 14 Pro Max 1TB, even though you don't need one. And so why offer 128 gigs as standards when you could convince consumers to spend $150 and upgrade to 256? This is why Apple's a $3 trillion company, guys. It's big brain strats like this. And so yes, till we see higher base storage on the iPad Pros, the Air's gonna stay at 64 gigs. Another thing I would love to see, but I'm pretty sure we're never gonna get, are OLED and of course thinner bezels. Now yes, I know thinner bezels doesn't seem that complex. Surely that's very easy for Apple to do, but Tim is a cheapskate, especially when it comes to non-pro products. And so if it's going to cost Apple slightly more to make those bezels thinner, you betcha that Apple's not going to spend that cash, and they're going to stick to the current design. In fact, Apple's only going to spend cash to make the product worse, because remember, the iPad Air has a 10.9-inch panel, which is 0.1 inch smaller than the iPad Pro. Now, it would have been cheaper to, of course, give the Air the exact 11-inch panel, but no, Apple specifically wanted that spec to be worse on paper, so they made the display smaller on purpose. And the same goes for the base iPad, because it would have been cheaper to give this the exact same iPad Air chassis that, of course, has a laminated panel and Apple Pencil 2 support. But no, Apple spent the cash to retweak the chassis and, of course, downgrade it and give it a display that's not laminated, and also engineer a whole new stupid dongle for Apple Pencil 1 to work with this design. It's kinda crazy how far Apple goes when it comes to downgrading their products, but that's what they've done in recent past. Regarding OLED, I think it's pretty easy as to why we're not going to see this, and that's the fact the iPad Pro 11-inch is still on LCD, so it makes no sense to give the inferior iPads a much better display. Now yes, I know what you guys are going to say, hey, weren't there reports regarding the iPad Air getting OLED a while back? And yes, that was the case, but of course, as is the norm for leaks, that was completely false, and we now are pretty sure the iPad Pros are only getting this. Also remember, large OLED panels are pretty expensive, and so Apple's obviously going to cheap out with the Air and give this the same LCD we've had for years, and it's probably going to stay on 60Hz because they can easily upsell consumers to the Pro models using promotion. So yes, if you have not got the message yet, guys, do not buy the iPad Air 6, it's a completely pointless upgrade, and in fact, I would highly recommend not buy any new iPads. Go refurbished, go used. There are many great options on Apple Refurb and eBay, so yes, definitely consider that instead of buying a new iPad. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.